Hello, how you going? Thinking of doing some reading today. And then I'm going to do some writing as well. I got this today, can you see it? The Book Lovers Journal, so I can put all the books that I've read. And there's only like 40 spots for your TBR. You can put 40 titles you would like to read, but I don't think I have. That's not going to be enough space. If you know what I mean. And I also got this self-care journal too. Cool little journal there. I don't know what book I want to read though. I kind of brought this one today too. The Vanishing Cherry Blossom Bookshop by Takuya Asakura. I'll read the blurb on the back. Welcome to the Cherry Blossom Bookshop, a haven for book lovers that only appears during the fleeting cherry blossom season. Nestled amidst the bloom of delicate petals, you'll find a sanctuary for those burdened by regrets and past sorrows. Here Sakura, the mysterious young owner, and her wise calico cat, Kaboka, patiently await the arrival of souls in need of solace and healing. Told over 4 seasons, each visitor to the bookshop holds a book that bridges their past and present, guiding them towards understanding and acceptance. With the antique charm of the shop and the soothing aroma of freshly brewed coffee, Sakura and Kaboka help their guests confront their lingering sadness through the power of stories, enabling them to move forward with renewed hope. How many pages are there? "207 pages. That's a short read. Oh, I do have this other book that I started the other day. I'm also rereading Interview with the Vampire. But I started reading Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. I just don't know which one to continue on with or start. probably butcher some of these names if I read it. It's hard to decide. I do want to do a bit of reading before I do some writing. I think both books will have hard things to pronounce. Well, it even has a playlist. Do a coin flip or something. I don't know. I'll do this burnt out thing. Flip it. Burnt out but optimistic. Can you see that? Okay. If it's a burnt out side, I read Vanishing Cherry Blossom Bookshop. And if it's not, that one. Okay, that one. Simple. To read. Comment. What I'm reading. Asakura. I don't know how to stop it from saying hello to me when I put a comment. I'm doing great. read for 30 minutes, I think. Prologue. The shop was tucked away in a place beyond anyone's understanding, where a thick fog, neither white nor grey, hung heavily in the air, but oddly, the space surrounding the shop which was enclosed by neatly trimmed hedges, was as clear as crystal. It was almost as though the fog was parting for something, as if it had no choice but to keep its distance. In the centre of this enclosure was an old wooden building. Atop its green triangular roof, a bronze weathercock stood proudly with its chest puffed out, its beak stretched wide towards the sky, but its voice, meant for announcing an hour, would never be heard. In the front garden, which led to the entrance of the shop, was a weeping cherry tree. Its great age was evident in its height. Rising above the ridge of the roof, its branches hung over the weathercock, arching all the way down to the ground. In full bloom, the branches were bursting with blossom. What made the tree unusual were the strange colours of these flowers. The nearer they were to the tips of the branches, the deeper they were in shade, gradually transitioning from the white and pale tones of a Samoy Yoshino or Yoshino tree to the vibrant hues of a bell-flowered cherry. It seemed as though this single tree was painted in every imaginable shade of pink and red. From time to time, a gust of wind swept through the branches, creating marble-like swirls of white, scarlet, and light coral on the ground. Suddenly, a bell chimed, and the door to the shop swung open, disarranging a mound of petals that had gathered by the entrance. A girl appeared in the doorway, wearing a burgundy pinafore dress over a starched white blouse. She heaved a sign outside, written in double-lined lettering in red and white chalk. It was a simple sign with just the name of the shop on it, Sakura. Sakura. Had the shop been named after the cherry blossoms in the garden, or perhaps it was somehow linked to a person who went by the same name. It's possible that the girl was named Sakura, but she certainly didn't look old enough to be the owner or the manager. Once she had finished putting the sign out, the girl gave herself a quick stretch, disappearing inside the shop, and re-emerged with a broom and a dustpan. She began carefully sweeping the petals scattered on the pathway between the sign and the hedges. Then all of a sudden, three small branches wreathed in blossoms quietly landed in front of her. Looking up at the tree in surprise, the girl said, "3? You're feeling generous today, aren't you?" The cherry tree did not reply, of course, but the girl wore a knowing expression on her face as she tucked the broom under her arm and picked up the branches. She made her way back inside. The scent of coffee lingered in the air as the girl headed straight to the kitchen. Using a pair of floral shears, she swiftly trimmed the branches before wrapping the snipped ends with tissue soaked in plenty of water, as well as a thin sheet of paper, holding them in place with a rubber band. Then one by one she put them into 3 individual vases. "Done," the girl said out loud. Stepping out of the kitchen, she scanned around, apparently looking for a good spot to arrange the branches. As you would expect from the exterior, most of the shop's basic features were made of wood. The distinctive grain pattern on the walls and the tables gave the atmosphere that cozy feeling you can only get in a traditional coffee shop. Using a step ladder, the girl began placing the branches along the walls as well as on the pillar. There were more branches all around the room, adorning the shop with further splashes of pink. Decorating the shop with cherry blossoms was apparently an essential part of her daily routine. Satisfied with her work, the girl climbed down the stepladder and cleared the petals that had fallen on the floor. Then, using a damp rag, she wiped the place down. It seemed that she was preparing to open the shop. Once she had made some progress, the girl took a short break. Standing with one hand on her hip, she rubbed at her forehead with her wrist. Sorry about that. I could really do with an extra pair of hands right now, the girl muttered as she glanced down at the table next to her. On the table was a calico cat. Unlike typical Japanese cats, this one was long-haired. The cat, which had been sitting comfortably in a loaf pose, gazed sleepily at the girl. Pushing its front legs forward, it lifted its bottom, stretching out its whole body before lowering its left shoulder and rolling onto its back. As if to say, "Is this what you mean?" The cat extended its front paws towards the girl. "Kaboko, that is absolutely not what I mean," the girl said dismissively. For a brief moment, the cat stayed in the same position, but soon got to its feet and returned to its original pose. On the name tag, sewn onto its brown leather collar, were the kanji characters for incense box. Koboko. Kobako? Koboko. Shifting her gaze from the cat, the girl walked towards the wall to a set of speakers and a record player. Even the audio equipped featured wooden frames. A record had been left on the turntable. The bright red label at the centre of the disc stood out against the black, crouching down, the girl switched on the amplifier, setting off a faint electrical hissing. Pointing her finger, the girl checked that the dial on the turntable was in the correct position before gently pressing the start button. The record began to spin, and the tone arm lifted automatically. The vinyl crackled briefly before the distant hypnotic beat of a snare drum began to play. The unusual drumming, a triplet-infused rhythm in 3/4 time, slowly intensified, as though the beat was drawing nearer and nearer. A flute entered with the first melody, adding a sense of courtly elegance and exotism to this distinctive rhythm. Bolero by Ravel, a composition of simple structure featuring two repeating melodies passed between different instruments. The piece maintains a steady, rhythmic drum beat as it gradually builds towards a climax. The girl, who had been listening contemplatively, who had been listening contently to the opening flute solo with her hands on her hips, suddenly turned away from the record player and began spinning around the shop as though she was dancing to the music. The cat, on the other hand, didn't so much as move a whisker. Aside from the kitchen, there were bookcases along the walls. Some of them were even set on top of tables, although they varied. Oh, that's terrible. It's making me sleepy already. They featured the same grain pattern, similar to that of the tables and audio equipment. Still, the place seemed to be lacking in a sense of consistency, thanks to its eclectic collection of books. The girl eventually stopped in front of one of the shelves, using her index finger as a guide but taking care not to touch the books. She scanned the spines one by one, going from right to left, then left to right. The never-ending story, in the forest, under the cherry blossoms, in full bloom, Rashomon, the glass menagerie, the parent trap, the life and opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman, The Sound and the Fury, 10 Nights of Dreams. They were all works of fiction, but that was the only thing they had in common. The books came in various sizes, and there seemed to be a book for every age. Even large format books could be spotted here and there. Out of nowhere, the girl's lips started to move. more, more intensely than the wind instrument of noon, when traces of amber are poured, the bitterness of anger, the blue of anger. She muttered the words, seemingly lines of poetry she had memorized, almost hypnotically, as though she wasn't aware that she was reciting them. The melody of Bolero was now being played by a trombone. Outside, white rays of the sun glinted off the cherry blossom petals, dancing slightly in the air. Hey, Koboko, which one should I pick today? From time to time, the girl paused her hand and turned towards her companion as she gently placed her fingertip on one of the spines. But the cat, apparently uninterested, remained completely still. This exchange went on for a while, until the girl, seemingly giving up, moved on to the next shelf, then to the one after that. Then, just as her finger glided over one of the larger books, the cat opened one eye and let out a short meow. This one? The girl turned to find that the cat had lifted its head. Its eyes were wide open. Its golden pupils had dilated, as if to say, "That's the one." Removing the book from the shelf, the girl brought it to eye level, then opened it in a reverential manner. Haven't seen that word before. She said exaggeratedly, pretending to clear her throat. The book was The Little Prince. Putting on a slightly affected tone, the girl began to read, her resonant voice echoing through the shop. "My star will be just one of the stars for you, and so you will love to watch all the stars in the heavens. They will all be your friends." As she continued to read, the girl and the calico cat, now in a loaf pose again, faced towards each other. Every time the girl turned the page, the cat twitched its whiskers and slowly blinked its eyes as though it was nodding again. Outside the square of the largest window, the petals continued their graceful dance. Bolero played on, reorchestrating the same melodies over and over again. Okay, this is chapter 1 now. Has the picture of the Little Prince. Book. What is essential is invisible to the eye. That's a cool quote. I think I need to write that down. Add it to my quote list. Is running as well. That was a cool prologue. What do you think? add that to my list of quotes. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Feel. Just like that, the cremation was over. Less than 2 hours after the door to the incinerator was closed, 67 years of her mother's life had been reduced to nothing but bones and ashes. Mio carried her mother's urn in her arms the whole way from the crematorium, although it was placed inside a box wrapped in thick cloth and a furoshiki. She could feel its warmth on her lap. It was as though her mother was trying to tell her that she was still there. Arriving at the place where her mother had lived, Mio found that it was a tired 2-story building of wooden structure. Her mother's studio flat was at the north-facing corner on the first floor. Its window looked out onto the bank of a river, gazing at the neat row of winter bare trees under the thick grey sky. Mio felt overwhelmed with the guilt that she had left her mother die all alone in such a place. I should have done more for her, she thought. Until then, Mio had never even set foot in the flat. 2 years earlier, her mother had suddenly told Mio and her younger brother that she would be moving out of their family home. Although Mio had to admit that they hardly had any good memories of the house. She was dismayed by the thought of her childhood home being passed on to a stranger. For once her brother agreed with her. The two teamed up to try and dissuade their mother, but she told them that the topic was not up for discussion. It's not like you two come back very often, she said. Mona Lisa has no eyebrows. Nice. It was fashion to shave it off. Okay. Do as you please, thought Mio. After her mother moved to her new flat, Mio used her busy work schedule as an excuse to avoid checking in on her. Now she deeply regretted this. The flat was modestly furnished with just the bare essentials. There wasn't even a television, though Mio knew that the family house had sold for a decent amount of money. She never imagined that her mother had been living so frugally. It seemed that the futon that was removed along with her mother's body was the only set of bedding she owned. Thinking that she would need to stay in the business hotel across the street, Mio wondered if it would be all right to leave her mother's ashes alone in the flat. On the floor lay a pale green carpet. Although it was worn out, it looked reasonably clean. There was a small round table which appeared to have been used as a dining table. Mio set her mother's urn on it, creating a makeshift altar. Then suddenly, feeling a wave of exhaustion, she dropped down on the floor. Still wanting to give her brother an update, she summoned up the energy to pull out her phone from her bag. Checking that it would be early morning in his time zone, she hit the call button. After 2 rings, her brother picked up. "Hi, Yoshihiro?" Mio said. "I just wanted to let you know that the cremation went smoothly." There was an awkward pause before her brother replied with a thank you. Oddly, it sounded like his voice was doubling? I don't get that term. Mio couldn't tell if this was because the line was unstable or because she was. "I'm sorry that all of this has fallen on your shoulders, sis. Hey, it's not your fault. She wasn't sick or anything, so it wasn't like we could have prepared for it, emotionally or logistically." The previous year, Yoshihiro, who worked for a major electronics manufacturer, had moved to South Africa after being put in charge of setting up and running a new plant there. Mio had not seen her brother in quite some time, as he rarely had the time to return to Japan. Their mother had been right. Neither of them had visited her. "Anyway, sis, where are you at the moment?" I'm at Mum's place. I've just brought her ashes here. I wanted to let you know that the funeral side of things is all done now. There's still a lot to do in terms of paperwork, but I'll manage." Yoshihiro apologized again. It seemed to Mio that there should have been more to talk about, but she didn't know what to say. She was fairly certain that her brother also felt the same way. "I don't fully understand why she sold the house," Mio said. "Me either. Have you seen Mum's flat?" Yoshihiro told Mio that he hadn't. "I didn't think so. It's my first time here. This place feels pretty empty." There was another uncomfortable pause. Then Mio said, "We're terrible children, aren't we? She raised us all on her own, and yet we let her die alone in a place like this." Mio hadn't thought that they would need to worry about something like that. Not for a long time anyway. "Yeah, I didn't even go to the funeral." "Well, like I said, it's not your fault. You have your work and your family to look after. Mum wouldn't have wanted you to prioritize her over your own life. I mean, I don't think she would have." As soon as she said those words, Mio's heart tightened in her chest. There was no way of knowing now. Suddenly, she was confronted by the brutal truth that she would never speak to her mother again. Her brother said nothing in reply, and the two fell silent for a moment. Somehow, managing to switch the conversation, they went through the checklist of things to do. It was agreed that Mio would handle the time-sensitive tasks, such as cancelling their mother's health insurance and her pension payments. Everything else, including the sorting out of her belongings, would be discussed once Yoshihiro had confirmed the timing of his next trip to Japan. Mio told him that she wanted to keep the flat until after the 49th day memorial. Although Mio had intended on covering the rent for that period, Yoshihiro insisted that at least he could do was to contribute financially, and so it was decided that they would split the cost. After hanging up, Mio took another look at the box containing her mother's ashes. She had learned that the cloth wrapped around the box was called jeez. Scared me. How many pages do I have left? How long is this chapter? Oh, maybe it's not a chapter, maybe it's... I'll just finish it to the line here. She had learned that the cloth wrapped around the box was called kotsui, a cover for the bones. She had never even heard of the word before. It was made of thick white fabric adorned with a pattern woven in a lustrous thread of the same colour. The pattern, which looked like bellflowers, was so intricate that it was not immediately noticeable. I'd like to draw something similar, Mio suddenly thought. I would spend a whole day, maybe even 2 days, carefully drawing them out in pen. Why am I thinking about this now? Mio asked herself, even though she already knew the answer. I can't bear to face the fact that Mum is gone. Okay, that's technically one chapter, so I'm going to stop there and I'm going to do some writing now. I have like 3 books I'm reading on the go. That's me for you. I'm going to add this quote. I started a exercise book filled with all my favourite quotes. I don't know where I put it. It's probably somewhere in the... Oh, it might be up there actually. What is essential is indifference to life. Save. grab some more water. I'll be right back. Hi, Decaf. I see you lurking. Level up. Autumn Forest. Oh, a little elemental. Cute. I need to change the music. Okay, I might finish up with a raid. Who can we raid? Let's raid Dark and Fae.